Iowa going into the offseason, and my thought process, Phil, with Iowa was they were stacked and ready to do something in 2024 with all that veteran leadership and talent on the defensive side and all that productivity on the defensive side. And then, of course, Caleb Johnson had a great season, and Cade McNamara looked to be what they needed on offense to be a game manager, and they just didn't make it happen. In the defense sorely underachieved, and they didn't have the draft selections that were anticipated on that side of the ball. So that might have told us something. So I didn't feel good about this Iowa team at the outset of the offseason, but the more I look at it, certainly based on your resources as well, as part of my research, would be offensive line, defensive line stout. I believe you've got them rated number 8 on both sides of the ball up front. And Mark Gronowski, just looking at, let's say, a Max Brosmer at Minnesota, and Gronowski's a better quarterback, or should be, than Brosmer. And Brosmer fared well in the Big Ten, that Iowa might be able to do something. And they've got those difficult games at Kinnick against Oregon and Penn State, that they might be able to work some of that Kinnick magic.
Yeah, and I think the schedule is the key with Iowa. You touched on a couple of things. I love the fact you said that their defense grossly underachieved last year, and that was my impression as well. When you see Iowa's defense, you expect them to dominate a football game, and there were games where they were giving up big plays. On the year they gave up 318 yards per game. That's Phil Parker. He's one of the best defensive coordinators. And last year's defense was not dominant. They were just very good. And you and myself thought Iowa's defense was down, which it was last year. They do lose some key players. They lose the outstanding linebackers that they had in Higgins and Jackson last year. But I think Phil Parker will have them be towards the top. I love the addition of Gronowski. And, let's keep the quarterback healthy for once. That's been a problem. Cade McNamara went down. All of a sudden, it's Jackson Stratton and it's Brendan Sullivan who's going to be the QB. If Gronowski stays healthy, operating behind that O-line, they should be in good shape. It'll be more of a running back by committee this year. But they've got a schedule that either puts them in the Big Ten title game or gives them a mediocre season, because they host Penn State. They host Oregon. Those are two of the best teams in the country. Lose those games at home, and that means your winnable games, Nebraska, USC, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Iowa State, they're all on the road this year. They're going to have to win some big games on the road. So that concerns me, the overall schedule. But I tell you what, the schedule looks great if they knock off Penn State, knock off Oregon. But I have them middle of the pack in the Big Ten because of the schedule this year.
Absolutely. You're hitting on the tricky portion of trying to size up a schedule, because do you want the easiest games at home just to bank the wins, and thinking, hey, we're going to lose the top 5 teams in the country anyway, regardless of where we play them. But if you're a team like Iowa that has this recent history, long history actually, of pulling off these upsets against top 5 and 10 ranked opponents, then hey, if they pull off at least one of those two against Oregon and Penn State, maybe they've got something going.
Yeah, and Kirk Ferentz, one of the best head coaches in the game. And they are, I put a blog on philsteele.com about homegrown teams. Iowa is a homegrown team. When I talked to Coach Ferentz, he's leaning towards shifting to that. Less transfers, more freshmen coming in, develop the freshmen. And I think you're going to find teams like Clemson, like Iowa State last year, hell, like Army and Navy. Those two teams had much better seasons than anyone expected. And it's because they were homegrown. I feel they have the best team atmosphere and team chemistry.
In the addition of Tim Lester as offensive coordinator prior to 2024 wasn't really celebrated across the country. But, man, what he did at Western Michigan in regards to developing the wide receiver room there and turning average prospects into NFL wide receivers. And he, we've heard from him in recent days on our Iowa show that he really loves this wide receiver room, and they might be underregarded this year. And we know that room has not been impressive for a long, long time, but they might have one of their better groups of wide receivers this season, and they're always loaded and deep at tight end.